that sound, guys. First one this year.
Turn the stove off, hon? I checked. Yes, it's off.
We have been working on this for approximately 10 years now. So this it's not just something that we decided overnight. And we found out that there's no Canadian boat has entered the Hudson Bay since the early explorers. And so we decided that here is a project, a Canadiana, sort of, that we could do. And we would like to do this to be sure that the first sailboat or a yacht entering Hudson Bay should be a Canadian one. Our route should take us through the St. Lawrence Seaway to the Straits of Belle Isles. At the Straits of Belle Isles, we hope to arrive around the 1st of July. Hopefully the ice will break up by then. And as soon as the ice breaks up on the Labrador coast and moves offshore, then we can start heading north along the Labrador coast. And this is where we intend to visit these ancient seaports and settlements. And this is where we would like to record the lives of the people that live there. And after we get up to the north point of the Labrador coast, we'll enter into the Hudson Strait. The Hudson Strait will take us sort of northwesterly direction. And at the inside end, or the western end of the Hudson Strait, will be our most northern point that we're going to reach. And from there on, we'll start heading southwesterly direction to Churchill. And we chose Churchill because of the history of it, you know, to do with the Hudson Bay Company, the first the fort that the Hudson Bay built, and the trading post and all that. So that's about it. That's how it's going to take us up there, hopefully. Our problems that could be on this trip is the icebergs and the growlers. So there is the danger that we hit one of these growlers, which is underwater. And at the Straits of Belle Isles, approximately 1,400 icebergs floats by every year. Also, if the ice ever happens to return to the coast, we have to get into a small bay to get away from the ice. And if an iceberg happened to run aground in the mouth of the bay, we could be trapped in there for a year or forever time it would take for this iceberg to melt enough to refloat itself again. Timing is very crucial in this trip, since the navigational season is approximately 3 months in that area. So we cannot waste much time. We have to keep going constantly. And because of the change in temperature can happen very quick. And the fog and all these weather conditions. So we have to push on. We have to keep going as much as we can to not to get trapped in the ice.
Gay Curry is our one confirmed crew member. We're looking, of course, for another one, maybe two. Gay's traveled quite a bit around the world, and she's also sailed across the ocean. Do you want to say something about that?
In 1981, I sailed across the Atlantic in a 37-foot ketch from Fort Lauderdale via Bermuda, the Azores, to Portimao, Portugal. Learned a lot.
And another good thing about Gay is she doesn't get seasick, so she's going to be doing a lot of cooking for us down below. And that's one problem that I do have, so I'll be wearing one of those little things behind my ear so I don't get sick. And we're going to have to do a lot of preparation with foods and that. And I think some of that's going to be left up to Gay. But we have been given quite a bit of help with our sponsors as far as obtaining the food and the proper types of food for this type of journey. There'll be freeze-dried foods, already prepared foods. I won't name any specific brands at the moment, but things that are already sort of prepared.
You just need
warming up.
Water. You can use the sea water, and they're bagged.
And we realize that we're going to need a little bit more substantial things in our body, so we'll be taking a lot of vitamin pills to help us out there. We have double sinks and a 2-burner kerosene stove. And there's actually quite a bit of room in the galley. It's well laid out and quite a bit of storage room. Within the cabin, you're already protected against the wind, which is the worst problem with the cold. It's the wind factor. So you are protected. But we also have a diesel Antarctic heater, a stove, which we can put on in extreme conditions. But just to go below will help.
Well, the coveralls are just superb. All I need underneath, even when we were sailing at 0 degrees last weekend and it was snowing, all we needed underneath was just a light tracksuit or something. And they do have a flotation device in them. There's a double berth forward and there's a double berth aft in the aft cabin, but you can sleep 3 there very comfortably, and if everybody would have their individual sleeping bags. Going across the Atlantic, I learned that there's not a lot of privacy. Right. You just get to know each other very well.
We require 150 charts for this trip. This is the navigation area. This is where all the chart work will be done. Since all our instruments are here, the charts have to be mounted and numbered so we have ready access to them just as we require them as we progress on this trip. This is the power plant of Aqua. She's equipped with a 61 horsepower Volvo Penta diesel engine. Diesel engines are very reliable engines. As long as you look after them and baby them, they will look after you. I have chose to use 3 separate fuel filter and water separator system. Up front, as the fuel comes from the fuel tank, a gravity tank. It enters into a Aqua filter and water separator. The filter unit is equipped with a sediment bowl, which is glass or acrylic. So you can check it every day to see if you had any water collected in them, and then you're supposed to drain them. From the Aqua filter, it goes into a second filter, which is a CAV filter, and through the fuel lines, again enters into yet another CAV filter before it actually enters into the injection system of the pumps. These filters are each capable of the filtration of 20 microns, which is very pure. In the engine room also I have bilge pumps, electric bilge pumps. This is where I have the alternators, 2 separate alternators for 2 separate DC electrical systems. This is where these big hoses, these big pipes, your cockpit drains. The motor here is for the autopilot, the S50 autopilot. All the fuel lines and hydraulic lines are running through here, the engine control lines, the water strainer. The water has to be strained somewhat as the engine takes it in from the outside, goes through the strainer, through the heat exchanger, and out the exhaust hose, and that also cools the exhaust as well as the engine itself. The engine also has a closed-in water circuit, which is a freshwater cooled, and that is like in the winter times we have antifreeze in it. And the starting battery is housed in here. All the other batteries are separate from this compartment. With equipment like this and well installed, good quality products, we will look after them, and the trip should be a success. So we shouldn't have any problems. If we do our homework properly, we do the maintenance properly, it should be a success. The boat is 41 feet on deck, and that's not including the clipper bow. She's almost 50 feet overall. The boat was designed for this right from the beginning. She's all welded steel. We have the top of the line equipment, our winches, electronic equipment, anything that we have installed on the boat is pretty well the best that you can buy. And she has been a bit heavily rigged, as you can see, and we have triple head sails, which is rather unusual for boats. But because once we get up there in those conditions, we don't really want to have too many sail changes. So we'd rather just choose between the 3 according to the conditions. As far as the hull itself is very strong. There's a lot of reinforcement inside.
This fundraising party tonight is in support of the first Canadian subarctic sailing expedition into Hudson Bay. Our departure date is the 18th of May at Queens Quay Terminal, and as the crew's going to be unemployed for 4 months, and that's the length of time it takes to make the one-way trip, we're having a fundraiser tonight, and it's starting to roll.
this is it. This is the reason why we're thinking that we may not even be able to make it back in one season. I calculate that this will take us 3 years to complete the trip. Next season, if we get out to the Hudson Strait, then we're not going to go on the Labrador coast. We're going to get out offshore because we want to go one stop and head down to St. John's, Newfoundland, and have to stay there for the winter. And the following season again, after breakup, then we'll head back on the St. Lawrence.
You really have to. I don't know. Seriously.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 8th Annual Canadian Spring Boat Show. We have at the show this year some very interesting couple, Leslie and Carol Ann Sike. And Leslie has built a magnificent steel boat which is on display down at Harbourfront of York Street. And it's just beautifully constructed. I was down there the other week, and he can show you pictures of the progress of construction from the very beginning. And he is going to do something which nobody else has done for a few hundred years, and that's sail through the Hudson Bay. Would you just like to come forward? Leslie, pleased to present you with the boatswain's call. It's got my name on, but we'll get one engraved with your name on it. And if you'd just like to declare whatever.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for everything you have done for us. And I'd like to wish the exhibitors and the management every success. And I declare the 1985 Canadian Spring Boat Show officially open. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay. Good luck to you. You're going to make it.
Thank you.
We know you will. And your crew as well. Thank you very much.
I'd like to propose a toast to Julius and I would like to thank him on behalf of the crew of Aqua and all our friends that are here tonight for letting us here. Thank you very much.
This has been a pleasure, really, because this is, I should say, one of the rare occasions when we have a celebrity like you here at the Hungarian Hut who is getting into something that will achieve something very historical for Canada.
Thank you very much.
The best of luck.
Thank you very much. That's very nice of you.
I would also like to divert my attention to George and Lily. He's the organizer here. So, George, on behalf of Aqua and the friends that we have here tonight, I'd like to thank you and Lily for having us here. Thank you very much.
The pleasure is mine. The pleasure is ours.
Lily.